It's a miracle, doc. They counted me out. Moment of truth, counting it down. Underdog story was down for the count. Back on my feet, back with a mic, back on the beat, back with a family that bang in the streets. The game on lock, I stand with a key. Standing my ground, I am planning to flee. Standing my ground, I am planting my feet. Taking a stand, embracing my destiny, shaking his hand, flipping the script.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Night CrossFit Talk on a Monday night. Super Bowl edition. We're back. Jamie's back from South Carolina. Carolyn is chilling in Canada. I'm just surviving.
Thriving.
So what's going on, everybody? We are going to do a little catch up, or then we're going to hit some news of the week. It's kind of been a light week, so we have a lot of like quick hitters this week. Other than the experience at Fittest on the coast, and then we'll get out of here tonight. But it's good to see everybody. Good to see you, Aaron. Everybody else in the chat. Love to have you here. So we had the Super Bowl yesterday. Let's start with that. I think we were all pulling for the Eagles.
I mean, I didn't care regardless, but yeah, I didn't. Nice to not see the Chiefs win again.
Yeah, agreed.
I didn't expect a blowout like that.
I didn't either. And it makes not a very fun game to watch.
Yeah, like I was hoping for the Eagles to win, but I still wanted it to be a game. And it just got away so fast that it was just like a disappointing game.
I agree.
Right? Like it was like, ugh. You almost felt bad.
It was tough to watch.
I love watching great defense, though. And I know I'm probably one of the few people in the world that loves that. But being a Bears fan, we've never had a good offense. So like the only times when my team were good were when the defense was like that. And that was fun to watch for me. See Cooper DeJean get a touchdown on his birthday with the pick six. That defensive line was ferocious.
Mm-hmm.
What, 7 sacks? Oh. That last one, that one looked painful.
He got decapitated.
It was bad.
I was like, someone take him out of the game right now. He's about to get injured.
Yeah.
So overall, like, you're right, not a great game, but I really do like watching great defense play defense. And that was fun to watch for me. Super Bowl commercials, meh.
We don't see them really in Canada. We get different commercials. So I'll see some of the commercials like on Instagram or other places that are shared after, but we don't have the same networks, I think, promoting the games as you guys. So oftentimes I'll see the commercials later. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I did really like that Nike one. If that one was one of them, or did that just get released yesterday?
Jalen Hurts one.
No, the one with all the females.
Yeah, that one was released during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, see, that was a great commercial to use the platform of the Super Bowl to promote all the top women right now.
Yeah, I thought that was good. And then they released a Jalen Hurts one, like everybody doubting him right after the game.
Oh,
awesome.
And it was actually very well done. Like, if he was my team and my guy, like, I would be so pumped up after watching that ad. But yeah, and that was cool to do. They were making jokes this morning that I wonder if Adidas still has the Patrick Mahomes one, and they have to now scrap it and never use it.
Does that end the Brady and Mahomes debate right now?
I think for now.
Yeah, they'll slow it down a little bit for sure.
It's
tough to three-peat.
Yeah.
I mean, they've still been in the finals. What is that, 5th time or something in 6 years, something like that? Which is incredible.
Yeah. All before 30. Like, he's done all this before 30. I think the defense was great, and I'll give them their flowers, but Patrick Mahomes looked like a Bears quarterback. That's how bad it was. Like, I felt like I was watching my own team. It was that bad.
Yeah.
Wasn't great.
Nicole Sherman says, commercials were mid. Halftime show was lit. Did you see Serena Crip walking? Well played. I did see that. I did not realize it was her until a couple moments later when it finally sunk in. I have got to be honest. Like, I'm a huge music fan. I know nothing from Kendrick Lamar. I knew none of that music during the halftime show. I thought it sounded good. And I thought the show was good. I could not get into it like the hip hop anniversary show they did, or Usher, or any, like, I know that stuff. This one just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of art, really, and historical references and Drake references, and yeah, like I've been reading up a lot on it. I'm not obviously a professional of everything that's happened historically and currently with the beef, but there's a lot of stuff to read up on it, and the more that you read up and then you go back and watch the performance, you can appreciate more and more what he orchestrated with his performance, which is cool.
Yeah, I did not know that Serena was Drake's ex. And so, yeah, very well played.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole thing, I've been seeing so many posts like, if you didn't like the halftime show, you're racist. I'm so over shit like that. Like Scott just doesn't really know the music. Doesn't mean he has an opinion. Like, there's going to be a lot of people who listen to that who just couldn't understand the words, so they didn't even understand the message right away. Like, you cannot put that kind of statement on people just for not grasping something right away. And now they need to go do research and praise it and be like, oh my gosh, it was genius. Like, this is just so ridiculous that this is where we're at as a society.
Like, my dad didn't know much of it. Like, he's like, I don't really listen to rap. Like, my dad likes just different genre, and he's very French, right? So he's not able to appreciate it. And
yeah,
I was like, I mean,
so
I was like, I like Kendrick, so like I can, and Lex is a huge Kendrick fan, so for sure, there's different music for different people too.
So I'm lumped in the Carolyn's dad category, which is fine.
Yeah, it is.
I'll take that. I will say, like, Julie and I have, my wife Julie and I have this conversation all the time. She knows every word to every song ever done. I am more of a groove beat guy. She is more of a lyrics person. And so, like, the lyrics are never going to, like, speak to me like they do to her, if that makes sense. Like, I'm more I want to hear a good groove, a good beat, things like that, where she really wants, if the lyrics aren't important and mean something, she doesn't like the song.
Could she hear all the lyrics and understand it?
She has insomnia so bad, she probably slept through most of the game.
Fair enough.
So I don't know her take on Kendrick's. She said it sounded good. I think what she could hear with her eyes closed.
That's good.
So she missed out on the art part of it.
Yeah, I mean, the dancing was cool. Like, the overhead aerial shots looking down looked sweet. But I don't know. I mean, to read into people's opinions is just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Yeah, everything turns out that way, and it really, can't we just enjoy
the
show, right? I thought the pregame was good. I really like John Baptiste's national anthem. I thought that had a cool vibe to it, and I know that Canada has a different one, Carolyn. So I'm not even going to assume that you watched that part. I thought, but I've really grown to get to know John Baptiste over the last few months, even before this thing, and I really like his music. I thought he was good. I thought Lady Gaga was good in the French Quarter. I thought a lot of the pregame stuff, America the Beautiful, was awesome. And what's really cool is they had, I can never remember their name, but it's a trombone shorty, play a song beforehand. And what was cool about that is I saw them when I was in New Orleans for a business conference, free at the House of Blues. and they were incredible. It's just like a tuba, a trombone, a lady singer, some other marching band music, and they play like they're a rock band. And they played right before, and it was cool to see like New Orleans native music being played at the Super Bowl. I thought that was cool. So that's my 2 cents. In other news, because our TV shows have been really weird this year by the way they broadcast, I found 2 new shows that I absolutely adore. And that is The Pit on HBO Max with Noah Wiley back in the ER. Every episode of the show is 1 hour of a day, and the whole show is 1 day.
Dang, back to 24. That was one of my favorite shows ever.
And then another show I found on Prime is On Call. And it is a police show with a trainee of a rookie, and one of the police force has been shot and killed right before he comes into the force.
Oh, geez.
So they're trying to find the person who killed the police officer, and she's trying to train him on how to be a good cop. And a lot of the footage is dash cam, body cam footage. Now it's fictitious completely, but so when they're running down a perp, like you're running with them, it is insane. It is so like mobile. And I really are enjoying those 2 shows.
I'll check them out.
We binge watched 5 episodes yesterday before the Super Bowl of On Call. So, because I couldn't do like 8 hours of pregame stuff.
Yeah. Did you watch the Fittest or the Fittest of the Coast?
I did.
Oh.
I would watch that in between episodes. We'll get to that in a second. I have a lot of thoughts. But anyway.
Did you watch the Puppy Bowl?
I did not.
I did. I saw that when I was scrolling through. I was like, what the heck?
I didn't watch it this year and all that stuff. No. I was doing some schoolwork.
To those who enjoy that, good for them. I have a puppy at home.
I was hearing that like those dogs are up for adoptions all the time, and then they get is that true, or did I read that wrong? That those are like dogs that are up for adoption, then people will call in.
Oh wow.
I did not know that.
I could be wrong with that. Maybe I read something else.
That's actually a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, let's does anybody else have anything to catch up on this week?
No.
All right. With that, then we'll jump into some CrossFit stuff. It was announced not that long ago that CrossFit Mayhem will be doing the first open announcement, 25.1, with 3 of their athletes, Haley, Roman, and Austin Hatfield will be doing the announcement. We've been pretty hard on Mayhem on this show the last few weeks. It just seems, after the things that we have said over the last few weeks, when this is the first announcement on the first open workout, good Lord, like I joked to the crew in the text string, welcome to the 2025 Mayhem Open.
Seems like they have their hands involved everywhere with the games stuff this year.
Mayhem games, yeah.
First of all, thoughts on Mayhem being picked first?
I mean, they went to what? Proven? Was Proven last year first? No,
I don't think it's
that workout
first.
it had the
think it
barbell
was
stuff. That
second.
wasn't the first one. That was the third one.
Right.
I mean, Mayhem's
That's
a safe
fine.
pick. They
Yeah.
have a great community. They have a lot of reach everywhere around the world. I think it's a safe pick, and I think that they do a really good job with their social media team. So they put out a ton of great content. So in terms of that I think they'll do a great job.
I like that inevitably means that you're getting Rory back.
Well, they wrote in the thing Rory, and then I think I saw
Chase.
Get With The Programming. Yeah, Chase.
Yeah.
If you give me a Roe versus Boz, I'll really be into it.
Yeah. Right.
I think we need stuff like that again.
I do too.
Whether it's the two of them or two new people that have like an ongoing competition through all the weeks of the Open and maybe even into the Community Cup or whatever we're doing. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Is Roman healthy? Like,
that's what I'm wondering. Like,
I wasn't even sure he was competing this year. Because
did he have the surgery on his hip labrum?
Did he ever have the surgery? I don't know, because I feel like I saw him just continue to train. And maybe he's putting it off, or maybe he had the surgery and he just recovered really fast. Because I thought it was a surgery that was like a lot of months of recovery, if I remember well, from like a barbell spin article.
Yeah. I thought it was his hip labrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a major one.
That's not going to be quick.
Yeah, I mean, Kat has had that surgery from the Roundtable show. Charlie has had that surgery. The recovery's not quick.
Yeah, I've had a lot of hockey teammates have that surgery. It's a tough one. So I feel like he'd never had it.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Yeah. Craig says he's not posting a lot. All his posts say regaining strength.
Sus.
And Aaron says Roman has had quite the off season with his injury. Interested to see if he can put things together this year. I think the shame of it all is, we waited for him for 5 years when he was probably in his prime. And then he gets here and he's had nothing but injury riddled seasons ever since he got here.
I mean, I think he was in his prime last year as well. Like, he was dominating until Jeff was not like this last year, but the year before, right? Until Jeff was like creeping up on him and then overtook him on event 10. But like, he looked good at those games until he got injured, and then hasn't been the same really since. He didn't look good at Wadapalooza that following year. Mm-mm. Semifinals was okay. The games wasn't great for him. And then, the injuries. Like, even this matchup, I'm like, nah. That's just my opinion. I'm like, I'm like, it doesn't excite me that much. There's not really like a big rivalry there. Like,
there's no rivalry, and it's like I do always wonder how they pick the people they're going to pick to do it, and if it's based on the workout, because like they don't seem to necessarily pick matchups that make sense for the workout. Like, you want to see a good head-to-head. Like, those three athletes don't even like make sense to me.
That's how I felt. But then I'm assuming they said, "Hey, Mayhem, do you want to host? Pick a few athletes," and then they went and picked their athletes. Like that's just like what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because they're very different athletes.
I mean, if we're looking at it from a draw standpoint, the most popular Mayhem athletes, those are the three. Probably.
Are they?
Reach.
Well, I mean,
like,
everyone
the
wants
only one I wouldn't. Austin,
I would say Guy is a more popular Mayhem athlete than all three of them.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Big pull.
Haley's pool's pretty big.
Yeah. Haley, out of the other two, like Austin, has barely any followers. I feel like
he's growing quickly, but
he's growing. But I wouldn't put him really up there. And Roman's been pretty quiet.
He's got the John Young boost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elisa Stuckey says, I've had the same surgery and the recovery is long. I just had to. Trish ate too much Stouffer's chicken fried rice. Might need surgery too. About to burst. Feel you, Trish. I feel you. I've had those days. My other I guess we already talked about the other aspect of this. But yeah, so they're leading off the open stuff. Also, we had a Dave's Week in Review happen just before we went on the air. I captured a couple of highlights that I thought were either pertinent or funny. At one point, someone asked him about high rocks, and to combat high rocks, should the games do event 1 as the high rocks event? Dave said you could see him thinking through the process, and he said, well, it's just a chipper, and then the broad jumps are silly, and we would hold people more accountable
on the judges of the wall balls.
Right. And we could probably just make a better workout.
Fair.
He said better use of the time for a first event.
I was paraphrasing.
Yeah. But like, same thing. Like, I don't think the burpee broad jumps are a bad movement, though.
I don't either.
I think they're very efficient. Get to point A to point B.
Hell,
you could easily
hard to judge.
Huh?
Hella hard to judge.
Yeah.
I mean, they wouldn't be if people don't, if you could just burpee and then your feet must be together. Once you've taken your 1 step or your 2 feet, they have to be together and not 1 foot way in front. It's not too bad. It's just really getting from point A to point B, though.
Yeah. We did them a lot when I first did CrossFit, like 2011, 2012. Like they were always in our warm up.
Like if you did 25 feet at a time and you don't even care as long as you don't take shuffle steps, it's not that bad of a movement. I don't think so.
The true highlight of the Dave's Week in Review is I have wanted something in CrossFit forever. So much so that I named this channel Clydesdale Media. I have wanted it forever. When I was a kid, or when I was in high school, they had a running division in all the big events that they called the Clydesdale division that were for 200 pound plus athletes, where they could run and compete amongst themselves as opposed to running against 120, 130 pound runners. And I thought, wouldn't that be cool if CrossFit had that in like local comps and maybe even at the upper levels, but it doesn't have to be the main event. Someone wrote in that question, why doesn't CrossFit have weight classes? And Dave said, ooh, that's a good idea. We could do something like a Clydesdale division.
I was surprised to see him say that.
I lit up like a Christmas tree.
Because I think that's against the methodology. Like it's just like you should be able to adapt regardless of weight, size, height.
I'm not saying that don't do it RX.
No. I just was surprised that he even wanted the idea of doing different weight classes. And it like for the open, because they said something about like doing states, and you can see if you're the fittest in this, whatever state or country or whatnot. But I was surprised that he liked the idea of the weight class.
Yeah.
Well, he hit my heart right in the center with the Cupid arrow with that statement. So I was super happy about that. The other thing about the states, and this has been confounding for me forever, is that when I first started CrossFit and first did the open, you could sort that leaderboard by like 18 different ways. You could do state, you could do geographic regions, you could do like all by your job, by a ton of stuff. We've gone backwards technologically in how you can sort the leaderboard, and it is dumbfounding to me why you would get rid of that. Me and my friends would sort it all kinds of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would too. I would see, especially earlier on in CrossFit, like I would look, okay, where am I in Ontario? Okay, where am I in Canada? Okay, where am I, X, Y, and Z in the world? I always did that. Always. Okay, where am I with the teachers? Like I looked at every division that I felt like I took part in, and then I would see where I was at. And then I would do every year on January 1st, I would have goals. I want to be number 1 in Ontario. I want to be top, 3 in Canada. And I would write them all. And they were all based off of those divisions that were in the open. So when that question was posed, I was like, oh, do they not even have that anymore?
They have not had it for 5 or 6 years.
They should bring that back for sure. Because to me, it was meaningful. Because if you know certain things are out of reach, especially earlier on for certain people, and then you start having smaller goals or forever. Yeah. And then you start having certain goals.
Yeah. Some of us are not Carolyn Prevost that are in the top 10 of the open and can just look at the leaderboard. Some of us have to finagle that leaderboard to make it look like we're doing something.
Clydesdale division.
Yep. There we go. Yes, Andrew, you can create custom leaderboards, but to organize everybody in the state of Ohio to join in on your leaderboard would be
with a hashtag Ohio, like
right.
It's not happening. We're talking about you didn't have to customize it. It was already done for you. Like you wrote where was your affiliate or where your hometown was, and everything was sorted from there. There's no custom.
If it was a field you had to enter to sign up for the open, you could pretty much sort on it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that was awesome.
That's great. Yeah, they should bring that back. That's a great idea.
But apparently new technology won't allow them to do it.
Apparently.
That's baffling.
Small team.
He was also asked about the World Fitness Project and their competition. He said that he doesn't know much about it, hasn't really heard much. He's heard some rumors that scare him. He does not like the exclusivity talk that he heard about in a rumor. And he said that CrossFit will never have an exclusive signing, that you can only do theirs and not others. And that's really all he really said about it. And then he said, I wish them luck, and then kind of moved on.
But CrossFit shouldn't have an exclusive thing. If you think about the sport, we want to say, go take part in anything in the world that's physical challenge. And we know that the CrossFitters are going to outdo everyone. Like that's what we're built off, right? Like, why would they want just people to do the CrossFit Open season, CrossFit Games, and that's it, and never expose those athletes to any other competition? It's only beneficial to CrossFit to allow people to go take part in all of these competitions and the CrossFitters win. And it's like, oh, okay. How do you get good at this type of competition? You go to your affiliate and you do CrossFit. Right?
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is he promoted the Community Cup repeatedly. There seems to be just a major push to get people to sign up for the Community Cup. And then he also talked about if you're an affiliate who wants to win prizes, you have to create a team. And it's $1 to create the team. And it does not qualify. It's not a qualifier to get you to semis as a team. It's just for these prizes to set up your affiliate so that they can, I'm assuming, so they can query you into a leaderboard to find out who has performed the best. Because they eliminated that former leaderboard that they could have done that all along.
Right.
All right. The next thing we have on the rundown is Max El Hag has not been on social media forever and came back with a bang. What I will say about this, and then I'll leave it up to my co-hosts and we can run through this, is this, first of all, he posted 6 or 9 of these about different coaching philosophies and things like that. They're very good reads, all of them. But I wanted to focus on this because I think for the first time, someone said how I was feeling the best. And it's on this one because I do want to support CrossFit. I do think the methodology saved my life. And I do want to support it, but they have not been perfect. We have been demanding changes and those changes haven't happened. And I still think they need to be held accountable for some of those changes to different things. And this is well before the Lazar Jukic issue. So I don't want it to all fall on that. This is an overarching things needed to be done better. And so I felt good about that someone actually was able to articulate the way I was feeling, like Max did. So I will turn it over to you two if you have any thoughts. And then we can go through it if we need to.
I think I only made it through this one and the coach, what makes a good coach one.
That was a good one as well.
That was really good.
That had some great points.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say anything, Jamie, on it?
No, you can start.
I thought it was really well written. Yeah, I felt like it was a lot of how a lot of people in the community feel. So you can definitely see that within the comments that, at the end of the day, like we've all loved this sport and have seen it, from a baby stage all the way to where we feel like we know it could be. And it hasn't been perfect at all. And there's been a lot of rocky, moments. And I think that there's some good stuff in there. I think that it's also important to listen to both sides and to, how do I say this? I think it was Lynn actually that said it in the comments. I have to go back to that post. Hold on one second. That there's been a lot of disagreements and stuff like that. And then I think as long as there's people at the table, having conversations and both sides are kind of being heard and, the athlete side is really being heard, I think that we can go forward and not separate as much as it has been. But in order to not separate, we do have to listen to both sides, right? So the PFAA, for an example, if they have suggestions that they've had, and now it's the CAC, is that
CAC?
Yeah. So it's listening to the athletes and not just discarding, because we have seen those groups being formed before and then they've dismantled and stuff like that. So it's you have to be able to listen to different perspectives and stuff, and the division is obviously huge right now. But I thought he nailed it. I thought that he did a really good job with his wording here was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, just to pound home,
a lot of us are torn inside, right? And just because people are moving with the season does not mean that they agree at all with how things have taken place and unfolded from the games, and it hasn't been enough. It's not forgotten. Just because someone is deciding to compete, and there's a lot of work to be done, and still changes need to happen to never have this ever happen again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think absolutely. Just because you are participating this season does not mean you're fine with it. I think what I like about this is that, like Max is saying, this is why he's going to step back into the media space, speak up. You can't really just wipe your hands of it and say, don't participate, screw CrossFit, hopefully they go under. That's not going to do anybody any favors. And so you need to participate, and then you need to use your voice and speak up and have constructive criticism. There's a little bit, maybe too much of a bashing, and that's just going to fall on deaf ears if we aren't providing. And I get it. We've tried to provide helpful solutions along the way, and it does feel like it's falling on deaf ears. I really enjoyed listening to Taylor talk with Saban about the CAC and how he feels like this time they are actually coming to the table to listen. That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah, that's what you want, right? That's why these types of groups should be formed, and you should have different, not auditions, but every year, new people that want to take part in
it sounds
groups.
like it is. Yeah.
New elections.
Yep.
Elections, yeah, not auditions.
There's a term limit. So yeah.
Because like you said, for it to happen, you have to be able to listen to both sides and see, how we can go forward together, and proposing new ideas and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's well written. But again, I still don't, if people have a different opinion than this, I still don't fault them if they don't want to go on with the season. And if that's, their personal decision and they have not seen enough. And like I said, just because some people are going with the season doesn't mean that they're fine with what's happened as well. Right. And then other people that are deciding to move away, it's also okay, but they want to still see more. And maybe they'll come back after they've seen a year or two and they've actually seen the progress in action versus talks. And that's okay too. And some of them might never come back, and that's okay as well. So I think there's room for everyone here, but hopefully, regardless of all that, I hope that lives are going to continue to get changed with CrossFit methodology, and I hope that we've learned a lot from this past year, and like I said, that it never happens again, and that
I think
everything gets better.
I think what has me optimistic is that I know the former athlete councils didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And already we're hearing that they've met a couple times. In Dave's Week in Review, he talked about one example of the grips and the change in the rule book. And they presented it to the athlete council. The athlete council is doing research on their own, and they're going to come back with recommendations on that because it's caused such a stir. And when you listen to Taylor Wisavon, a lot of that is exactly what Dave said. Like, they're matching up. Both sides are matching up in their stories. And that gives me hope that they are starting to listen more. But again, this has only been a few months. We just need to talk about, we need this to be a more long-term thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's more fresh. Well, obviously you have more meetings, and then will it die off? And then there's less meetings. I hope not. I hope that they'll continue to get involved, and people from outside of this, right? People that are not affiliated with CrossFit in any way, that have great ideas and maybe can create some better changes for the sport or anything that's involved with CrossFit. But yeah, I hope that it continues.
Yeah, I do as well. So that's cool. If you want to know more, make sure to check out Max's Instagram page. It's just Max El Hag on Instagram. He, like I said,
they're all really good. Like,
yeah, there's a
I
lot
haven't
of
gone
them.
through them all, but
I really like the coaching one.
Yeah, the coaching one is phenomenal.
So he put out 9 different things: mental health, Q1 2025 training cycle. Yeah, they're all different subjects. Pretty cool stuff. Vi is asking, did you already talk about the survey sent out by the athlete council? Did not know that happened.
Where did that, did you get that, Carolyn?
I don't think I received a survey from the athlete council.
I didn't receive one.
That part I'm curious whether those athletes are going to be expanding and asking questions within the community. How are they getting the answers to then bring back from the athletes, right? Or is it just their personal? I'm curious. I'm curious for that kind of stuff. Because I don't believe I've received anything.
Yeah.
CrossFit will only listen to athletes about small things like grips, making it look like there's meaningful dialogue. It's all BS politics. I'm trying to be optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of thinking is just going to get us nowhere. I mean, they've taken a step. We've got to give them a chance.
Yeah, and I really hope that this time around, it's done well, and it's done with intention, and it's done, to really save the sport and save CrossFit, really.
So it's linked on helping
Well,
stories.
Courtney, what I'll tell you is as many chances it takes because we don't have any other options.
Yeah.
So now WFP announced their final signings. No Tia.
Right.
Surprised?
She
No.
doesn't need it.
No.
She
Yeah, I
does
don't.
not need it. To go to a competition for 6 events, and it's a lot of competing for her. She's got a family. Like, I don't think she needs it.
Yeah.
Tia's going to thrive anywhere, it doesn't matter. But I think it's more risky for her to go to a 6-event competition that's not really testing for the fittest. She has more to lose than to win.
100%. This is for athletes who are trying to make a living off of this that don't have an income. Not for people who are $1 million sponsored athletes. Like, they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Not at all.
Surprised about Jeff being the final signed athlete and saying not even sure he's going to do the full season.
Yes.
I don't like that at all.
I think that was taken out of context by people. I think he's just saying, the way that I understood it, and maybe it's just lost in translation, that people aren't going to be able to do every single competition like they think that they will be. But I don't think he's saying that you can't do both seasons in terms of qualifying online, going to the games for the CrossFit Games season. Like, he could easily do online and just go one time at the CrossFit Games and then continue with the WFP. Like, that's no issue. I think he's saying that people think that they can do way more than what they think, and they just won't have time. And
I think what he's saying is, I have a short amount of time to capitalize and make a living for myself, and I'm going to see how many people sign up for the Open and what that prize purse is at the games, and I'm going to see what the prize purse is at WFP, and I'm going to do whatever is in my best interest to sustain myself in this career for as long as I can, if he has to choose.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with. I'm okay with saying, hey, I have limited opportunities, and because of all the unknowns, I just need to sign up for everything and figure it out as it goes.
I mean, I think Carolyn made that very clear a couple months ago that they would watch, that it was a monetary decision.
Yeah, like, he'll do Rogue. I think he'll do some WFP, and then he can qualify easily for the games online. Like, he's one of the best, if not the best. I mean, in person and and online.
He's great online, though.
He's amazing online.
The WFP has got to come out with the rest of the details surrounding this, with points. And, like, I tell you what, if someone like Jeff only does 2 out of the 3 events and still maintains his pro card, I'm going to be extremely upset with the point system. Like, that's not how this should work. Like, we need athletes who want to be at all 3 events.
The finals are worth like double or triple points, so I feel like you don't even need to go to all of them.
That's ridiculous.
We'll see what happens. Seems like that is open for interpretation. Jeff's comments.
Yeah.
Carolyn and I had different interpretations.
Yeah, I didn't interpret it the way that everyone else is. I feel like it's taken, and maybe just, I think it's sometimes it's the language like barrier that he has. I don't think that he's saying that like he's gonna just stop the season. Like, I interpreted it as like, I don't think people are gonna be able to do everything like they like go to Europe, go like 1, 2, like back to back and think that they're doing like every single thing. Like, that would be too much. Like, they're gonna have to basically pick a little bit more than what they think, and some that might mean one of their seasons is gonna be affected in terms of their performance, and it'll be what it'll be. That's how I interpreted it. Like, I didn't look at it the way that everyone else is looking into it.
Yeah. So then we had this weekend Fittest on the Coast. Our very own Jamie Latimer went down and competed on a team. She coached 2 individual athletes.
No.
No. One.
I don't even think I would say I coached gym. I mean, I was there from all but one event. It was an interesting weekend for Jim.
Okay.
I mean, he was in the 60. They only have 60 plus there, and there was a lot of 60-year-olds.
How old is he?
68. Yeah, he was the oldest one there. And it's evident, right? Like they had bar muscle ups, they had handstand walk, and not everyone had them, but I mean, he doesn't have them. So like he just, he's at a standstill, or he's standing there not working out when it gets to that point of the event. And so he was like, I think he was second to last for most of the weekend, and then after the last event he finished last. I think he would have liked to not finish last, but again, it's just some mobility stuff that he just doesn't have the capacity to do. And when you get these 60-year-olds, to be fair, I think Freddie Cherry podiumed, and he's 66. I think he was over 65. So it's not like only the young guys won. Freddie, who is over 65, beat some of the other under 65-year-olds. So congrats to him. But I mean, he has handstand walk and he has bar muscle up. He was awesome.
It's still cool to see people at that age doing what they do.
Yeah. When they have the skill, it's cool. When they're standing around for 5 minutes just to leap their hands across to get 5 foot of like I didn't like the workout that had a handstand walk because it was so long. They got the other guys that were like Jim wasn't even willing to try because it's not worth falling over and hitting a judge or another athlete or breaking a hip. But a lot of the guys sat there and tried for 5-6 minutes, and that's a long time to sit there and try. And when you in the last 10 seconds finally get 5 feet by jumping your hands across, it's just that's just, I don't know. That's not showing the skill, in my opinion.
True. So I have the leaderboard up for the team, which is what you competed in. What were your overall thoughts on the weekend?
They did a good job. Like, I mean, it's a pretty big event. There's the 2 floors running. I think they only got off by like 10, 12 minutes on one of the days, which is kudos to them. There's a lot going on. I think things could have been briefed way better. I think judges could have been a little bit more prepared. I think everything was kind of short, and I get it. It seems to be the way these comps are going, and I get it. Like, you have to be really big to make it worthwhile to host, and you have to have all these divisions and all these brackets, and what it ends up doing is cramming stuff into 12 minutes or less, 6-minute workouts, things like that. Like, it's just not my cup of tea, really. But I get that's kind of the way of this money-making process.
So your women's pro division was pretty stacked with semifinal and Masters Games athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Motown Grit won it.
Yeah.
That is Caroline Klutz and Stevie Dellinger.
Yeah.
Stevie won Crash, correct?
Yep.
And Caroline Klutz has won Crash in the past and other stuff. Long Island's best was Callista Lang and Christine Best.
Right.
Both friends of the show. Christine Best was on our sponsored team a couple of years ago, and Callista Lang was one of our people at Atlas Games, along with one Carolyn Prevost a few years back. And then Shark Tank. Do you remember that team?
I cannot recall who was on Shark Tank.
Ashley Cope's team?
No, she was on co-ed.
The problem is when I blow it up, it makes it really hard to. Hannah Hardy.
Oh,
and
yes.
Lisa Thomas.
Yes. Again,
semifinal athlete. So yeah, So you're up there with a lot of like great women. You're with Haley Rolfe,
Mm-hmm.
who was a teen games athlete, is what, 19?
Yep.
You are a master's athlete.
I was the oldest one out there for sure.
But you still beat some of the other masters athletes that are younger than you.
Yeah. It was weird. We were 10th going into the last workout and we got 7th on the last workout. And then we finished 12th. Like, I was like, oh, this one will be decent for us. I was like, we're in 10th. I think maybe we could finish 9th, which was like my goal. And I was like, oh, we got 7th. Great. And then I pulled up the leaderboard and I wasn't certain, but I was like, I think we got like at least 8th in that workout when we finished. And I looked around and I was like, oh, good. This should be good. We dropped to 12th. It's just ridiculous.
It must have been close between you guys at the 10th place then.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 points.
Yeah, what I'll say is I tried to watch most of the weekend. I watched all of your events, but it really, they never went to your side of the floor.
Yeah, Aaron was telling me that too.
Because you were on one end,
Mm-hmm.
they always seemed to start on the other end. They'd walk down halfway and then they'd turn around. And I was like, are you kidding me? Now, Brian would say your name.
Yeah.
But we couldn't see you.
Yeah.
So it was a little frustrating as a fan of Jamie and Haley to try to watch it. But overall, like, I think they did a good job with the coverage. It's a super wide field.
Right.
Trying to get everybody in. I tried to watch as much as I could. I even watched a lot of the individual. I thought they did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like their production, they just got ripped for Wodapalooza. But
Mm-hmm.
in this setting, the expectations are not where they are for Wodapalooza. And I would say that like I was very happy with it, other than I couldn't see my friend.
Yeah. I think Brian did great. I went back and watched one of the events. And Aaron had told me that we were on one end. So I actually have video of the other 3 workouts that I'll just put up on my YouTube. It should mostly cover our lane. And well, Jim videoed it, so I don't know. I haven't watched it, but I'll upload it. Hopefully it's decent. Yeah.
I watched a few of the events this weekend sporadically. It was good. Like, I thought that Brian did a good job, and he would interview some athletes right after. Like I've enjoyed some of the graphics that they do, showing the workouts and stuff like that. Like, you know, he's been doing a ton of competitions, and you know, as a fan of the sport, like when there's nothing to watch, like on a weekend, I'm just looking. I'm like, oh, let's see what's going on here, and it's great that he's been putting about a bunch of competitions on YouTube and doing a good job with that.
Yeah. I mean, he knows everyone on the floor.
He does.
It's excellent. Like, you're not going to find somebody who's more committed to the athletes, and like, I mean, kudos to him. He does a good job. It's for me, I'd say it's like to fly out there to take the floor 4 times is, I just feel like we needed another event.
Just
and
4
like,
events.
Like I said, like, we were in 10th, we took 7th, and that's how much the leaderboard was flopping, because there wasn't there needed to be another event.
Yeah, the double workouts were, they just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there were 6 scored events with 4 times taking the floor.
Correct.
So the one thing I will say about Brian, and I don't usually toot my own horn, but because I've interviewed so many semifinal athletes, like I know their backstories and I know how to pronounce their names correctly and things like that. That's the only thing that gets to me with Brian, but most people wouldn't know that. It's just I've interviewed so many of them.
But I feel like he normally tries to find out how to say their name.
He does.
And
he does.
He does a really good job, actually, I think, of correcting himself if he's said it wrong, and like he wants to do, like, to say the right names.
He does. When we worked together at Morning Chalk Up, we helped each other a lot on that.
Yeah, I think he takes a lot of pride in like pronouncing it and stuff.
Yeah. So you wouldn't do it again?
I don't know. I feel like maybe if I did it again, I would do both so that
it's more worthwhile for the trip.
But then again, you're paying $500.
Yep.
Like I don't know what I don't know. Like
as a non-sponsored athlete and stuff, these competitions are so expensive. It is an expensive hobby.
Yes, exactly.
Because like you're having to travel all over, like if you look at most people our age, like they're not competing and they're not living this life of going to different competitions and spending, $1,000 to $2,000 just to compete like on a weekend. Like it's just like, it's an expensive hobby. I'm going to say it's a hobby just because like for most of the people that are competing, they have full-time jobs and it's not like they're,
yeah, it's like a non-sponsored podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trying to go to events.
I feel you. I get why it's popular in that area. The area has a ton of athletes. It's easy for those people to get to. It is not easy for me to get to. Like talking to some of the other athletes, for me, like I feel like MFC is better run, better competition. And I would of course prefer to go to that. It's a 2-hour drive for me. I understand why these athletes want to go to this one and not those athletes that I talked to that were like, I don't know if I'll go back to MFC. It's a little far for me. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about all your comps. It's a 14-hour drive or a flight, and it's not easy.
That's why I'm very selective on the comps that I do. Like early on in my CrossFit, I was, just trying to get experience and stuff. Now I'm like, I don't really feel like paying this money. Like, can I make it back? Do I have a shot at making it back? Because if I don't, I'm like, I'm good. I'll keep working this week and do my stuff and continue training. Because it just adds up. Like the food, the hotel, the flight. And like, there's not really any major comps in like where I live in Toronto that is worthwhile at all for me to compete. So I always have to travel and it's always out of pocket. Yeah. And to me, I'm just like, what are the chances I have? Who's competing? Can I make money? No? Okay, I'm good. The odd ones I'll go for if it's an experience and it's like, okay, this is my one big comp of the year. But other than that, it's not something that I can just afford to just do on the regular, like, and compete multiple times in the year. Like it's just too expensive.
Yeah. I don't know how else to get how people expect people to get experience and exposure.
Yeah. We need some sponsors. We do need some sponsors. It's crazy. And there's other athletes that have like all these sponsors and I'm like, how? I'm like, where? Like, what are you doing? And like some of them don't even have that many followers. And I'm like, I don't know.
Last thing I'll say is so many friends of the show competed. So many did well. So many. If I tried to name them, I would miss some. So I'm just going to say, like, we saw you there. So happy for all of you and what you've done. You guys are awesome. We love watching you compete. And I will continue to do so. Next up is, it looks like there was a relaunch of the CrossFit podcast.
Oh.
And there's a trailer on YouTube. I'm going to play a little bit of it. Not too much because I don't want to get too much copyright infringement or anything. But
who's running it? It's not the same if it's not.
It looks like it's more affiliate based. Here we go. So here's the trailer.
Of doing this. I want everyone you love doing this, right? Because I just know how well it works. And if you're going to spend time in a gym, there's nothing else I want you doing.
With people in our community who are out there changing And better than that, saving lives.
The kids, they were in quarantine the longest. We were seeing diabetes on the rise for kids. I'm at home and I'm like, I've got this experience. I've got all of these qualifications. I can do this. I can.
Helen Taylor is awesome.
She's so awesome.
Huge friend of the show. Speaking of, love her to death. So cool that she's on this already.
Start something in Detroit for the kids.
Join me as I get to know these incredible humans.
As a scientist and psychiatrist, I took this very nerdy science cell biology path to get to the conclusions that a lot of you already know. Go do CrossFit.
Together, their stories are the story of CrossFit.
And I saw that with my training with my brothers. At a point, they were able to beat me in a workout. And I did not like that. But I can tell you this, it made me a better athlete.
And why?
So, yeah, go check out the trailer. It's on the CrossFit YouTube channel. It's the new CrossFit podcast.
Is that on their their new channel with all the like coaching tips and all that?
It's just on the CrossFit. See right here? I don't know if you can see it. I'll blow it up. See, just CrossFit.
It's on their main one.
Okay.
Because I think the training one is just for like educational, technical stuff. This one is just their main one. Yeah.
So Denise is the host.
It appears.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
I got to meet her at an affiliate gathering in the southwest of Ohio. She in person has so much freaking energy. It is insane. Just one of those people you meet and you're like, I got to be around this person because she is awesome.
Yeah, I met her at the games in 2023 and she was one of my favorites there for sure.
Yeah. So check that out. Subscribe if you want. Also, another thing that dropped on YouTube is a new video about Rebecca Voigt-Miller. And the Masters athletes are so near and dear to me. This is about CrossFit Doesn't Have to End. And the title of the video as it goes on is actually From Legend to Longevity.
Love it.
And it talks about how the way she looks at CrossFit now is not, she goes and competes because she wants to show people what's possible, but it's really about like how to sustain her life. And she talks about seeing the 70 plus out there busting their tail at the games and being in the corral with them and hearing them talk about how they want to show off their bodies and show off what they can do at 70 plus years old. It's a great video. A little behind the scenes or behind the curtain is Mariah Moore did that one. And I was with her at the Masters CrossFit Games and was filming with her in the back at the same time. I was doing my behind the scenes. She was doing this as well as a couple others. And she's awesome. And this one, the story of this one is so good. Highly recommend. So
again, on that same CrossFit YouTube page.
Yep.
That's good. It looks like they're pulling their media together a little bit.
Yeah, it's about time. Like, again, more optimism. Like if this stuff if they're changing in this direction and they're going to continue these changes, like I'm all in for that.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing, yeah, never mind. We won't go on that. We'll do that another night. Elisa Fuliano announced that she is saying no to both the CrossFit Games season and the WFP season, that she has lost her love for the sport and is really just training for her now.
Okay.
She's going to do the French Throwdown and the Wadland Fest as well.
Yeah. So she's just going to compete in Europe when she feels. she's one of my favorite CrossFitters. I say that a lot, but she fights rheumatoid arthritis.
Mhm.
She has a limited expiration date on this career because of that. And you can't do it while you're miserable.
Right.
Like, you got to do it for the love of it. So, because what she does to keep her body moving, it's got to be worth it, right? In the end, if you're not happy, no point in doing it.
I didn't see anything that she wrote. Maybe I missed it for the WFP that she wasn't doing that. I just saw the game season, but I didn't see particularly the address to.
So I saw it on Barbell Spin.
Yeah, I saw it there, but I didn't see it in her particular post.
And then I saw her talk at Wadapalooza in something.
Okay.
And then and she talked at Wadapalooza about not being happy with the training for the season.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
The
can't
last
fall
thing-
there.
We'll leave tonight with this. And this was something I pondered last week on my lunch with the Clydesdale. There was so much debate last week about Josh Allen winning the MVP in the NFL over Lamar Jackson. My one beef with the Super Bowl was that I didn't think Jalen Hurts should have won the MVP. I thought it should have been a defensive player. That Philadelphia's defense truly was the reason they won that game. And someone from the defense should have won the MVP. But nay, nobody listens to me anyway.
I mean, I can see your point there.
So I thought about, like, if CrossFit did a season-long MVP, there wouldn't even be competing to pick the female MVP for the last several years, other than the time she took off for pregnancy. But in the men's, if you did betting before the season, I bet you less than 1% of the community would have bet that James Sprague would have been the MVP for the year. And looking back at the season with a Games win and a Wadapalooza win, like, he has a pretty strong case to be the MVP. I would say he is. Others may argue otherwise.
For sure.
But I think he's in the argument for sure.
I think he's in the argument. I think Brent had also a very good season that you couldn't ignore. And based off the Apollo rankings,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he
Brent
was
is
number
number
one.
one. Yep.
So that's based off a bunch of head-to-heads that they were together all year and their experience. So I think that's a valuable leaderboard there. But it also favors people that just compete a lot, just in
Right.
general. So
Right.
you got to compete a lot to get your ranking up. Because if you don't and you're selective, then even if you win, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But
So for everything, like, and we don't need to, maybe we can get into it. I don't know. Like Craig says, Jason had a great season. For every great event Jason had, James was better. Right. The only one that James was off was Rogue,
Right.
coming off pneumonia.
Correct.
Other than that, James was better.
Agree.
And you could say that about, like, Brent had a better Rogue, but he didn't even compete in Wadapalooza.
Well,
and
Jason
James
didn't
beat him at
do.
the games.
But I would say that Rogue was a much better test than Wadapalooza. And it's like Wadapalooza is only 6 events as well. Like, I don't think that's a full test.
Yeah.
Semantics, man. We're just having a fun discussion.
And it wouldn't be MVP. It would be more just a ranking system. Who's ranked number one? Maybe it would be the better word than MVP. I'm trying to think of what. Yeah, it would just be a ranking or a champion.
Player of the year or.
Yeah, player. Yeah. Or athlete of the year, I should say.
Right. Especially in sports that have a lot of different things you can win. Right. But I just thought about that. Like, he really came out of nowhere.
Yes or no? Yeah.
He way
outperformed
exceeded
his expectations.
He exceeded expectations for sure. Because I think people would have put some money on Dalen, maybe even Jason. You're not really thinking that.
Yeah, I had James more around the 10th place at the games, like 10 to 12.
I don't think
at best I had him like 8th, I think, in like a ranking, like if everything goes well, maybe 8th.
I don't think people would have put Brent high.
He's always
literally
by the podium.
To be like the best for the year, he's always kind of outdone by Pat and by Medeiros and by like you can list off all these. We didn't know Roman was going to be hurt all year. We didn't like
Ricky had an underwhelming. I think a lot of people would have put their money on Ricky at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
It just, and what I think is awesome is it shows you the potential for how good the men's division can be for years. Because someone that we didn't even think about as being the best athlete this year came out, not out of nowhere, came out of the teens in the ranking or 10 in the ranking to possibly win it. Brent, probably the same thing, lower 10s to teens and to win it. And you have so many people in the list that could beat them on any given day, which I think makes it incredible for what could happen in the upcoming seasons. And CrossFit says both Brent and James are athletes we normally felt were programming reliant for their finish. I feel less that way than I did going into this season.
Yeah, I agree.
I think confidence is a big thing too, right? Like in competition, like your mental state. And I think James right now is very confident. And when you compete that way, I think, you can go pretty far.
Yeah. It was just a thought I had that I thought would be a fun discussion. But yeah, I'm really happy for James. Because it could have been like, I think the Wodapalooza win was huge.
I agree.
To go from games champion that nobody really gave the credit to get that validation at Wodapalooza was pretty cool. And I know it wasn't a full field, but still, he dominated Wodapalooza. 1 first, 4 seconds, and then the lift.
Yeah, he had a great event.
But with that, you guys got anything else for this week? There was a bunch of quick hitters. But we're coming up on the open. Things are going to start getting hot and heavy here soon.
Yeah, we're already February 10th. It's going by fast.
It's going too fast.
Yeah. Valentine's week.
I think there's some qualifiers this week too for one of the events. Which one? One of the European ones, I believe. Is it French Throwdown that they have their qualifiers this week? I forget. Do you guys know?
I don't know.
No.
That's not my my region.
The French Throwdown qualifiers begin February 12th, February 18th, and then February 23rd.
Okay.
So for the people doing that one.
That's every Wednesday for the next 3 weeks.
Yep. Until the open, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I think in the French Throwdown was one of the ones that was half the field invited and half the field was qualifier.
No, it's qualifier.
Gotcha. Cool.
Greg's asking, is Mayhem sold out? I don't know if the tickets went on sale, to be honest.
That's right. They were going to do Mayhem affiliates first.
And that'll probably sell it out.
That probably will sell it out.
I feel like they should be releasing tickets way earlier than they do. I think that competitions would do better if they released stuff earlier.
I know
Just more information.
Released tickets this week.
Okay.
Early bird special to get the cheapest prices possible.
Even like the open, like they could do a discount. Like if you want to pay right now for open and community event.
Yeah.
That's how you get like, you get a $10 off or $5 off. Like you do these bonuses and you already get your commitment. You already start seeing the picture of.
I think with Syndicate, if you do the community event, your admission's free.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I remember them doing that in the past as well.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool how they did it last year with the community event outside in the vendor village. I thought their vendor village was the best I saw during the season last year.
I thought vendor village at Fittest of the Coast was pretty well done.
Okay.
The setup in there was nice. I probably should have taken like some video for you, but they had several vendors there.
You were too busy getting sun in the sand.
I was trying to sit outside in the sun. That is true.
I feel like a lot of the competitions I've been at the last few years, like they have a lot of vendors, but I feel like they're not very busy when I look at them.
Yeah, I would be
Have
curious.
you guys felt like there's just been less of an interest to buy because people just have so much stuff? Like sometimes I feel for some of the vendors that are there and I'm like, oh, I feel like you spend so much money. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I need to go spend because like,
yeah,
I feel bad that they made all this trip, but I don't know if they're doing as well as they were like many years ago.
We actually, Jamie and I talked about this, probably at Legends, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
A couple of years ago, where like, I think some vendors are so CrossFit zoned in that once people buy the thing, they don't come back for the thing, right? And other vendors make their stuff more widespread. And where that came into play at Legends is you're on the Arizona State University campus. If your apparel focused on CrossFit only, people walked by and didn't know what it was. If your apparel spoke to things outside the space, but just like fitness in general, or people then going to the gym to work out were like, hey, fitness, boom, boom, I'm going to buy that. Those vendors did much better than the CrossFit isolated vendors. Like you take Barbell Voodoo, just someone we don't know, someone we don't or have any affiliation with. They do those funny t-shirts with like the Golden Girls flexing, or The Office with Prison Michael benching on the bench with Dwight spotting him. Like those translate outside the CrossFit space.
Right.
Right. And I think that is a great lesson when you're a vendor. Just because you're associated with CrossFit and you do CrossFit doesn't mean that your business should be solely focused on that.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing I learned is Masters athletes don't share, don't buy, don't.
Yeah.
I thought the Masters athletes were the ones that were buying before.
But I think they know how to do it cheaper now.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of the problem. Like, unless you're going to be a vendor and have like a discount at these events, for one, like I had to fly here. Like I couldn't buy anything. I didn't have any room to get anything home. So I mean, there would have had to been like an enticing reason or a very small item. Like I have that stuff. I have all the shirts I want. I have all the grips that I want. Like, unless there was like a 50% off a grip that I needed to replace, I'm probably not buying it. I'm just going to wait. I'll get it shipped to myself. Like
that's the thing right there. I feel like if there's even a small discount, I'm more inclined to go buy it just because, or else I'm like, okay, I'll just buy it down the road online. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, down the road, I don't buy it, you know?
Right.
But if I was there and I'm like, oh, there's 15% off, even if
Right.
it's just 15, I'm like, well, I normally use this, or I kind of want this. But now I'm like, it's going to be cheaper here than online. But if it's not going to be cheaper here than online, people are going to wait. And then that person just wasted their trip and their money to put their stuff there.
Yep.
Well,
Exactly.
look at Thick Boy. Thick Boy takes merchandise that he does not sell on his website that you can only get in person.
And I think that's smart.
Right. And he's not zeroed in on just CrossFit only. I think
Right.
that helps him.
Yeah, he does really well at whenever he is a vendor. I just think some of the other products, I don't know. Like, I guess I don't even look anymore. I used to, but like I said, I usually have my knee sleeves there. I feel like at Legends, someone asked, like someone needed knee sleeves or something, and there actually weren't any anywhere. It was just a weird year. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is, and then there's all these contractual things, right? That
Right.
they're sponsors of the event, and yet you're a vendor, but you're not that. So, like, I remember when I first met Gabe at Paper Street Coffee, and I said, "Can I buy coffee?" And he goes, "I'm not allowed to sell it, but if you buy this sticker, I'll give you one for free."
Right.
And that's how he had to do it, because he wasn't allowed to sell, because they had an official coffee of that event. Yeah, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like,
Mhm.
the competitions need sponsors, the athletes need sponsors, the media needs sponsors, and we're just robbing each other of those opportunities, which is really hard.
Yep.
But I think the competitions could like sometimes do a better job of promoting their vendors or placing them in better positions or reminding people to go and shop, just different things like that too, just because it is tough on the vendors, right? And like these vendors do help these competitions then give back to the athletes. And so it needs to work both ways. Like if we as athletes want better competitions, like we have to go and support these vendors, because they're the ones paying for a spot there at the venue to help the competition grow. But if we're not buying anything, like it just is like, it's a lose-lose, because then there's going to be less vendors, less people want to go, less money to give to the athletes. So I think that we just have to like help each other.
So last year at Syndicate, Rad was not allowed to be on the premises
Mhm.
because Go Ruck was there or somebody like that. But they pulled a van into the parking garage across the street, put out on their social media, "Hey, we're going to come sell our shoes out of the back of this van." And they actually like that guerrilla marketing became pretty popular. When Jamie and I were going to our car the one night, the line for that van was huge.
Mhm.
So you just have to get creative too. There's way. I mean, you remember the Nike driving the trucks around Carson when they were told they couldn't come in because Reebok was a sponsor, and they bought the big billboard trucks and just drove continuously around the venue. So, yeah, fun stuff. It's fun stuff to talk about. Well, guys, next week we'll be back to our normally scheduled Sunday night time, leading up to the Open. And with that, it's been fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifier so you're the first to know when we got new stuff coming out. And if you listen to us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or iTunes, or any of the other podcast platforms, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Tell us what you think. With that, it's been a blast. We will see everybody next time on Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. Bye, guys.